Number 3, the movie makes you feel focused more on the story rather than the modes of people dying, and I think this is very important. Now, ahead of the movie's release, there was a lot of talk of this movie Final Destination Bloodlines being the best movie in the franchise. Now to answer that, we'll first have to talk about the movie. So here goes. Well, you see, every Final Destination movie have the same format, apart from the final movie, apart from the fifth movie. Now even that movie follow the same format, but they have included a very clever twist at the end of the movie, which gives us a shock, and that shock actually works. And of course we all know that that shock is about the reveal of the timeline. It means the events that happen in the fifth movie happens just before the events that we see in the first ever Final Destination movie. Now that twist that they added at the end of the fifth movie was a very clever one, and it worked really well. And now for the sixth movie, Final Destination Bloodlines, they have gone even ahead, and they have again very cleverly wrote a very compelling story. Perhaps the end wasn't that well executed, but nonetheless the movie was good. But what is that change that they have made here? Alright, so every movie have the same format. We have a group of friends, one of them have a premonition, then he or she goes on to save everyone, and then throughout the movie we see very gruesome ways of people getting killed in that same group. And yeah, that's the whole format of these movies. But the sixth movie, Final Destination Bloodlines, does the same thing but in a very different way, and it connects generations, like literally generations. A grandmother's premonition has been seen by a granddaughter, and that's the first thing that we see in the template of these movies, that we start with a very disturbing accident with a premonition and everyone getting saved. Now this exact thing happened years before, like literally for 50 years before this thing happens, and then how it connects to the present world, how it connects to the literal bloodlines of people. This is where the movie's writing actually excels. The fact that in the all 5 movies we don't know when this actually started, when the premonition started. Now technically we don't actually know that the premonition that we see in this movie is actually the first premonition in this universe. They have not shown that, but definitely the event that happens in this movie Bloodlines actually influences all the accidents that we see in all the 5 movies. And yeah, when you get that reveal, I'm not going to reveal that, but when you understand what happened and what's the storyline here, you will be definitely impressed if you're a big time fan of the Final Destination movies. So this is what they did really good about connecting different generations and the writing, and you know, the template was the same, but it was executed in a very different way. And because of that, for a lot of times it doesn't even feel like you're watching a Final Destination movie. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for a certain section of the movie it feels like you are watching a completely different movie, but then again those gruesome deaths come back, those premonition kind of things come back, and the usual thing starts to happen. Now what does a movie make you feel like I have seen a Final Destination movie? One of the things is the premonition, and the other thing is the way people die, the gruesome ways, the bloody ways people die. And of course this movie doesn't disappoint on that level as well. Now I will say some of the deaths could have been even better. Now by better I mean even more gruesome. That could have happened, but yeah, in that aspect the movie feels a little light, but that could be again by the fact that what the franchise have been able to do throughout the 5 movies that they have put out, that they have been really very absurd ways they have shown people die, and perhaps because of that it may feel a bit light in this movie, but nonetheless it's good. Then another thing that I enjoyed in this movie was that in all the 5 movies we have a friend group. We have a group of friends who, you know, are fighting for each other and all those things. But this time we don't have friends, but this time the friends are replaced by siblings, and therefore the stakes are even higher. And that's why the name also gives away a lot of things. Bloodlines. It's all about the bloodline, and therefore that again gave this movie a different edge to it, a different aspect to it. And also this movie is filled with a lot of twists and turns. Like in all of the 5 movies we can just predict, okay, things are not happening the way it should happen in normal life in this scene, therefore this character is going to go through a very, you know, deadly way of dying. But this time in this movie they just hint us to it, like they just push us to believing, okay, that this is going to be happening with this character, but the character escapes somehow, and it happens a few times. I'm not going to reveal that, but yeah, so they just edge us. They show us this could happen, but then they take it away. And that was again a very different approach that they used in this movie, and which worked pretty well again, because it was kind of a shock. Because in all the 5 movies, we kind of brace ourselves that okay, this is going to happen, but this time sometimes it doesn't happen, and it gives you a bit of shock. And that also brings in all the twists and turns that we get in this movie. And we also have the character of late Tony Todd, and yeah, his character is quite important. Of course, this is just one scene with him, but yeah, it's powerful. It gives away a lot of things. Some of the things that we already know, but some of the things that connect to different characters and his backstory, very nicely done. Now, there was a very big and a very important question that almost every fan of Final Destination had in their minds, and that is, will we get to see the first time, will we get to see the reality or the cause of these premonitions? Now, I have to say that nah, we don't quite get there. We don't quite get the answer in this movie. But what we do get is another backstory which is quite compelling for this movie, and also it kind of feels like an umbrella over all the 5 other movies. Like, the events that happens in this movie influence the other movies as well, and this movie kind of feels like a prequel, but also at the same time a successor to all the 5 Final Destination movies. Now, the final question, is this movie really the best in this franchise? I think so. Yeah. Maybe. Now, I'll definitely have to, sit on that and think about it. But I can tell you why this movie works. Number one, it follows the same path that the Final Destination movies follow, but also it does very cleverly change a few things, which gives this movie a very different kind of a flavor. Number two, yeah, the movie feels different from the normal Final Destination movies, and therefore a lot of twists and turns come in, a lot of surprises come in, and it is very good. Number 3, the movie makes you feel focused more on the story rather than the modes of people dying, and I think this is very important, because we know what's going to happen in a Final Destination movie. We just know, and we always go into the movie to see the various people dying in various ways. But this time around, we are forced to understand the story. We are forced to go deeper into the story. We are forced to do the detective work along with the character in the story, and that is what makes the Final Destination Bloodlines movie perhaps the best movie in the franchise. Perhaps. I'm not declaring that it's the best movie, but yeah, it's right up there. Now, if you don't know, I have 2 other channels. One is Peaky Movie Insights and the other is Peaky Movie Insights Hindi. On the first channel, I talk about Stranger Things, I talk about theories, I talk about ending explained of some movies, like I'm going to do with this movie as well, and I talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe extensively on that channel, so you check out that channel as well. And on this channel, this is a new channel. On this channel, we just talk about movies, reviews. I have shifted all the reviews that I used to do on that channel on this channel, and of course, we are just going to talk about international cinema, foreign movies, not Indian movies, because for Indian movies I have a different channel called as Peaky Movie Insights Hindi. On that channel I talk about Indian cinema and I talk in Hindi. So you can check out those other channels as well, and as always, thank you so much for watching.